City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab, Chapter 16. Are you sure you don't want to come? Mum asked me the next morning. We're going to explore the vaults beneath Southbridge. It's supposed to be positively brimming with paranormal activity. Is this how normal parents speak to their children? Since when is anything about your family normal, says Jacob. I'm sure I tell Mum, pulling Grim close. I think I'll sit this one out. Is everything all right? Asked Dad, scrawling a few last-minute thoughts in his notebook. Yeah, I say. I don't say there's a girl downstairs waiting to talk to me about hunting ghosts. I don't let myself even think it. Not with Jacob there, and the secret hanging between us like a lie. Instead, I take the tried and trusty angle of fear. It's just... I bite my lip for effect. I'm still kind of freaked out from Mary King's Close. It was pretty scary. And there's that whole part where the veil wouldn't let me go. I'm not sure I'm ready to do it again. Oh, honey, says Mum, brushing the hair from my face. I heard you tossing and turning last night. Was that why? I nod and she pats my head. You've always been so sensitive to those things. Drowning didn't help, offers Jacob cheerfully. I shot him a warning look. The energy down there, I say with a shiver, it was just so dark. Jacob snorts. He clearly thinks I'm laying it on a little thick, but Mum nods sympathetically. There was definitely something malevolent down there, she says. Perhaps, says Dad, it wasn't the best place to take a child. I almost bristle at that. I hate when they call me a child, and I can tell his tone that he and Mum have had this talk before, that Dad didn't think I should have come to Edinburgh in the first place. Was there a version of this story without me in it? No, I blurt out. I'll be fine. I just need a day. Not even a day, a morning. A few normal hours without spirits or spectres or poltergeists or ghosts or... I'm rambling now. Jacob frowns, and I can tell he's trying to figure out what on earth I'm thinking. But I focus on my parents. It was probably the combination of greasy food and jet lag. I'll get my ghost finding feet under me. I finish assuredly. I'm sure you will, says Mum. She kisses me on the head. Dad leaves me some cash for emergencies, as well as their filming schedule for the day, and strict instructions to stay put in Lane's End until they get back, because Edinburgh may be a very pretty city, but it's still a foreign one. Have fun chasing ghosts, I call out as the door swings shut behind them. Jacob flops until the couch beside me. What should we do now? He wonders aloud. We can watch weird Scottish television, or see where Mrs. Weathershaw hides the biscuits. Or... Why are you looking at me like that? Don't freak out, I say slowly. His eyes narrow. That's really not the way to start a sentence if you want me to stay calm. I fidget, but there's no use lying to him. Lying is hard enough. Lying to someone who can read your mind is nearly impossible. I kind of need to see someone. Jacob doesn't have to ask me who. He can see the answer plastered across my thoughts, and I can see his horror plastered across his face. You've got to be kidding me. We're just going to talk. I can't believe you're going to see her. I don't want to fight with Jacob again, not about this. He can't be mad at me for wanting to understand. She's a ghost hunter, he says, gesturing down himself. You know, someone who hunts ghosts? I know what she is, but for the last year I thought I was the only one who could cross the veil. I'm sorry if I'm curious, but I've never met anyone else like me. But she's not like you, he snaps. You take pictures of ghosts, you don't wave his hand, you don't unmake them. But that's the problem. What if I'm supposed to? Jacob must hear me think it, because his face contorts. I've never seen Jacob this mad before. Anger changes people, but it changes ghosts even more. His edges ripple and the colour goes out of his face. He looks ghoulish. I'm all for you making friends, Cass, he says. And I want to tell him I doubt Lara is interested in friendship, but he doesn't give me a chance. But maybe you could choose someone who doesn't turn people like me to dust. Before I can stop myself, I shoot back. If you'd been honest with me from the start, maybe I wouldn't have to go looking for answers somewhere else. Jacob glares at me, long and hard, then throws up his hands and vanishes, and I'm left alone in the middle of the flat. It's not fair the way he can just run away from a fight. But I never fought with Jacob before this trip. The thought leaves me feeling cold, all the way down to the bone. I wait as long as I can, pacing, pocketing the handful of cash, looping my camera over my shoulder and tugging on my sneakers, doing up the laces slowly, hoping he'll come back. But by 10 o'clock, he's still not here. If I don't leave now, I'm going to be late. I knock on 1A, expecting Lara, so I'm surprised when Mrs. Weathershaw opens the door. She's dressed in a house robe, her white hair pulled up in a loose bun. "Oh, hello," she says in her chipper way. "You're the Blake girl, aren't you? Is everything all right?" At first I think I must have the wrong flat, but then a Lara appears in the short hall behind her. "She's here to see me, Auntie." Mrs. Weathershaw claps her hands. "Oh, how nice." She leans in close and whispers, "It's about time our Lara made a friend." Then she straightens and steps aside. "Come in, darling, I'll put on the kettle." "That's all right," says Lara, scooping up her jacket. "We're going for a walk." "We are, I think." But Lara's already pulling me down the stairs. She's wearing leggings and a long-sleeved dress, her hair done in an elaborate fishtail braid. I'm wearing jeans and a sweatshirt, and I can barely manage a neat ponytail. We're in the front hall when I hear the tread of footsteps overhead. "Mrs. Weathershaw," I venture, glancing up. Lara rolls her eyes. "Not everything is paranormal, Cassidy. Now and then it's just bad plumbing." Outside it's not raining, but it looks like it could, which I'm quickly learning is what the Scots call partly sunny. A cool breeze cuts through, an instant warning that I'm not dressed warmly enough. But Lara's walking at such a brisk pace down the street I don't dare to ask to go back now. The road slopes down away from the Royal Mile. I don't know where we're heading, and Lara isn't exactly chatty, so I search for small talk. "Are you a fan of Harry Potter?" I ask her. "Are you asking me because I'm English?" "No," I say, "I'm just asking because it's Harry Potter and it's amazing and the author wrote the books here." Lara lifts her chin. "Well, the history of the Elephant House is contested among locals," she hesitates, adding, "but I've always fancied myself a Ravenclaw." "So you are a fan." She cuts a sideways glance at me. "Let me guess, you're a Gryffindor." I beam. "How did you know?" She looks me up and down, reckless, headstrong, most likely to charge into a situation unprepared, the edge of a smile. "Plus you're wearing a red and yellow Hogwarts sweatshirt." I look down at myself. She's right. At the bottom of the road, she finally slows her pace. "This is better," she says, breathing deeply. "Not a shred of privacy in that place." "Mrs. Weathershaw is your aunt." "My great-aunt on my mother's side. My father's family is from New Delhi. Mum's family is from Scotland. Hence the..." She trails off, gesturing back in the general direction of Lane's End. "And I was born and raised in London, but if I stay here much longer, I'm going to lose my consonants." I smile, even though I'm not really sure what she means. Lara's accent is crisp, and the Scottish accents I've heard are more musical, but they both sound strange and lovely. We stop at a kiosk on the street and buy hot chocolate. Well, I buy hot chocolate. Lara opts for tea. She stirs milk into her paper cup, her movements slow, precise. I bet she's the kind of girl with the perfect cursive handwriting, the kind who never trips, or bangs her knees, or wakes up with a rat's nest for her hair. "How long are you staying with your aunt?" I ask. Lara shrugs with a sigh. "My parents didn't exactly give me a return date. They're off on some dig in Tanzania, something to do with pottery." "And they didn't take you with them?" A small, bitter smile. "An archaeological site is apparently no place for a growing girl. Neither is a ghost tour, I think, suddenly grateful that Mum and Dad didn't decide to leave me behind." "They usually show up again before school starts." "I'm sorry." "For what?" she asks curtly. "I just mean..." Lara turns on her heel so fast I almost run into her. "I didn't agree to meet so we could discuss my family life. Let's stick to business." For as long as we've been walking, the castle has loomed overhead on its rocky cliff. Now Lara leads me through a low iron gate and into a kind of park around the cliff's base. We're surrounded by old trees and a few dog walkers. Lara sits down primly on a bench in the cliff shadow. I sit cross-legged, trying not to fidget. She turns her dark brown eyes on me, one of those long, loaded looks that makes it hard to sit still. I'm so used to Jacob's constant commentary, like a narrator in my life, that without him, the world feels quiet. He's not always around, but this is the first time it feels like he's deliberately missing. As if Lara can read my mind too, she says, "No sidekick today?" "His name is Jacob," I say. She shrugs dismissively. "Ghosts don't belong in the in-between," she says, "and they certainly don't belong on the side of it. He saved my life. So you let him hitch a ride into the land of the living? Not smart, Cassidy, not smart at all. She looks around. And where is he now? Sulking, I say. He's mad at me for even being here, for talking to you after what you did. Laura looks surprised. What I did? To the man in the alley. Oh, she says, the ghost. She flicks her fingers dismissively. Comes with the job. So how long have you been an in-betweener? A what? An in-betweener, she says, drawing out the letters in case I didn't hear. A betwixter, a shadow crosser. When I still stare blankly, she rolls her eyes. You know what we are. Oh, I didn't know there was a word for it. There are words for everything. Like veil and in-between, I point out. Laura gives a grudging nod. Fine, yes. Well, in-between is the one I learned, and that makes someone like me, like you, an in-betweener. But who taught you, I ask? What you are, what to do? For once, Laura is the one to squirm. Well, that is, no one taught me. Uncle Reggie has an extensive library. It took a deal of time and research, a lot of trial and error. She's lying, I think, or at least she's not telling me the whole truth. But before I can call her on it, she changes course. You didn't answer my question. How long since you died? I flinch at the word, the blunt way she uses it. But I don't have to do the math. I know exactly how long. I can't seem to forget. Just over a year, I say, because that's not as weird as saying 373 days. Laura looks at me aghast. A year, she says sharply, and you haven't reaped a single ghost? I didn't know I was supposed to, I shot back. I didn't have a user manual or a library of books, though in truth, there might have been something in Mom and Dad's study, but I never thought to look. To be honest, I'm still not sure I am. Laura pinches the bridge of her nose. Look, she says, you're drawn to the veil, aren't you? I nod. Even though it frightens you? Yes, I think. And part of you wants to forget it's there, but you can't. Yes. You feel compelled to pull back the curtain, step across the line and find the other side. Yes, I confess. Barely a whisper. Laura straightens, nodding triumphantly. What you feel, Cassidy Blake, is called a purpose. If Jacob were here, he'd probably make some joke about heroes and quests and monsters waiting to be vanquished. But Jacob's not here, and the only monsters Laura is talking about are ghosts like him. Laura keeps going. We're drawn to the veil because it needs us, because you and I can do something other people can't. We can free the spirits trapped here. We can send them on. Do we have to? I ask softly. Laura purses her lips. That pull you feel, it doesn't go away. It will just get stronger and stronger until you start holding up your end of the deal. But I never made a deal, I say exasperated. I didn't choose to go over the bridge that day. I didn't choose to fall into the river. I didn't choose to drown. All I wanted was to reach the surface. All I wanted was air and light and a second chance. A new shadow crosses Laura's face. Pity. Yes, you did, she says softly. Maybe you didn't say any special words. But you're sitting here, alive, when you should be dead. Something was given to you, and you have to give it back. You and I were able to cross the veil. We're meant to cross it, because we have a job to do on the other side, and it's time you get to work.